November 21st, 2021, Waukesha, Wisconsin. Crowds have gathered along Main Street for the town's annual Christmas parade. But what should have been a festive time with family and loved ones suddenly became a nightmare caught on camera. A red Ford SUV suddenly drives down the parade path, hitting several individuals. Two eyewitnesses told reporters that the driver made no attempt to stop.
And I could see kids just laying on the street, people putting blankets over them, trying to attend to them, kids screaming on the sidewalks, and
all they could see and hear was people screaming and crying. Police reported that the driver deliberately targeted the crowd, driving in a zigzag pattern to hit as many people as possible. Officers were quickly alerted and began to respond to the chaotic scene. In total, 6 people were killed, dozens injured, and hundreds of lives changed forever. Authorities immediately tried to locate the individual responsible, but the driver of the SUV had disappeared. However, shortly after, he would be captured on camera running through yards in the surrounding neighborhood.
Excuse me.
And as you'll see, the unidentified man eventually shows up on a Ring doorbell camera at a nearby house. He told the home's owner that he was homeless and asked to use his phone to call an Uber.
Hey, can I call an Uber, and I'm supposed to be waiting for it over here, but I don't know when it's coming. Can you call it for me, please? I'm homeless.
The homeowner, unaware of the events that had occurred, did not think twice, allowing the man into his home. Police eventually tracked the man down and identified him as 40-year-old Daryl Brooks.
Put your hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Do it now!
Brooks was immediately detained, and authorities, including the FBI, began to question him. But detectives could never have expected what was to come, as they were in for one of the most shocking and dramatic cases of all time. Before delving into the incident, detectives deemed it essential to probe into Daryl's relationship with his girlfriend, Erica Patterson. They believe there might be a connection between the parade attack and issues in their relationship. Detectives asked if Erica had ever made him angry, and if any physical altercations between the two had ever occurred.
Has she ever caused you to lose control?
No.
Has it ever gotten physical between the two of you, ever?
No, the only time it's ever got physical with me and her, my mom was standing right there, was when she would not leave because she was drunk. And my mom had to come outside to tell her, just go. Then she listened.
And where was that?
This was in my mom's backyard. I didn't hit her, I didn't choke her, I didn't push her. She acted like she was gonna hit me with her alcohol bottle. She didn't swing it all the way at me, but she like rolls it up at me like this, and I grabbed her arm and I was like, Mom, you know what I'm saying? And then my mama came out and was like, whoa, you gotta go. I'm gonna kill this motherfucker. He cheating on me, I'm gonna kill this motherfucker.
However, despite Brooks saying he never hurt his girlfriend, detectives still had their suspicions and kept on looking into whether their fight was connected to the parade attacks.
If I did not talk to that woman, I would never, ever be sitting right here talking to y'all right now.
As the detectives began questioning Daryl about the parade, he evaded all inquiries and immediately shifted the blame onto others. At first, he placed all the blame on his girlfriend for the incident, claiming her drinking problem was the reason for the parade attacks.
And I wasn't driving.
What if it was you?
What if it wasn't me?
Who else would it be?
What if I knew?
Mm-hmm.
Would I be asked to give that information?
Well, like I said, we're here to gather truth. So if somebody else was driving that car, yeah, I would want to know who that car is so we can go talk to that person. But a huge part of that is going to be your honesty with it.
Right. No, I was just asking.
And when questioned by detectives about who was behind the wheel, he had once again attempted to shift the blame onto someone else, and this time it was his mother. As Daryl continued to deny the allegations, detectives had heard enough and tried to show him a video of the attacks in which people can be heard screaming and shouting in full detail.
That's a quick question.
Hold on, watch it.
I know. Why do you want me to watch it?
Because I'll show you. I just want you to watch it. Watch it.
Why though?
Watch it for me.
Why though?
Because I want you to see what's in the video.
I just want to know why you want me to watch it. I didn't say
I just want you to
I
see
didn't
what
say
I
I
told
had a
you.
problem.
You're not accepting the answer. I told you I want you to see what's in it.
Daryl initially tried to avoid watching the video, but the detective was determined to provoke a reaction.
Those are children right there. Those are kids. See that little kid right there? You gonna look at it?
Too hurt.
You're too hurt?
Yeah.
Emotionally?
Don't do that hurt. Please don't.
Don't do that?
A common interrogation technique and part of the Reed interrogation method. Simply put, when a suspect is overwhelmed with emotion, they are more likely to confess. The detectives know this and are using the video to trigger an emotional response in Daryl for this very reason. As showing Daryl the video had failed to extract any confession, they then presented him with another case, one of domestic abuse that his girlfriend had filed against him.
Something.
Yeah, prohibition.
What's that?
Okay. It means you can't have any contact with Erica. All right? There's an issue between you two.
While this is going down, or
No, it's for a domestic abuse incident that they found probable cause for between you and her, in which they determined you were the aggressor.
for this right now?
Yep, from back on
This was
Saturday,
Saturday.
when you say you weren't here.
Are you kidding me?
Nope. I'm not kidding you.
I was not. Are you serious?
She says you were.
And it's not even gonna be
You're not convicted yet. It's got to go through the system.
the fact I'm getting charged
Okay,
with something I
probably
didn't do.
They read the details of the case to Daryl, once again hoping to make him more emotional while prompting a confession.
Wisconsin Statute 968-075 states that unless there is a waiver under paragraph C during the 72 hours following an arrest for a domestic abuse incident,
Brooks ended up being charged with 76 criminal counts, which included 6 counts of first-degree intentional homicide. But this interrogation was only the beginning, as Daryl's trial would go down as one of the most bizarre of all time. During the trial, Brooks was repeatedly removed from the courtroom after refusing to follow the court's rules of behavior.
Clear indication to this court
trying to
that
understand,
he
Your
wants to disrupt these proceedings, even
That's
in
not
a
true.
mild manner tone
That's
of
not
voice.
true.
I've
I'm
reminded
seeking
him
to
repeatedly
understand, Your
regarding
Honor,
the standards
because
of
it
decorum and
doesn't.
civility, and one of the
Illinois doesn't.
bedrocks is that he
Illinois
not
versus
interrupt.
Allen does not state.
All right, I'm going to
that-
remove him to the next courtroom so that I can go through
It does
proper
not state-
advisements. All right, I need to take a break. This man right now is having a stare down with me. It's very disrespectful. He pounded his fist. Frankly, it makes me scared. Under Illinois versus Allen, I've warned him repeatedly. He's being removed from the courtroom.
He also brought up many things that were simply irrelevant, one being that he was not a citizen of the United States, and therefore the government, the judge, and the law did not have any control over him.
So you're gonna have to tell me what you think that means.
It is me exercising my right to defend myself, to represent myself as a sovereign citizen. So essentially, this matter today would be me appearing by special appearance.
In what some might call an orchestrated attempt to paint Daryl Brooks in a negative light, the prosecutor dropped the bombshell allegation that Brooks had fathered a child with Erica Patterson during her minor years, brazenly tagging him as a sex offender.
He impregnated Erica Patterson when she was a minor in Nevada, and for doing so, he was convicted of statutory sexual seduction, pled guilty in March of 2007 to that felony offense, and is a sex offender on the registry as a result. So if there's any causation that would lead to Erica Patterson being a bad mom, Mr. Brooks has a direct role in that causation.
Once
So
again,
we can
Mr.
open the
Brooks
door
is
on-
being
we can
loud,
open the door on how old she told me she
disrespectful,
was when we met.
interrupting.
We can ask that question
He is
too then.
over the
Did you
top,
ask that?
animated
Do you
right
know
now.
that?
Mr. Brooks,
When witnesses of the attack were questioned, some said they had noticed a strange look on Daryl's face, as if he knew exactly what he was doing and where he was going.
I saw directly through the driver's window.
What did you see?
I saw a man focused on the group ahead of him.
Is that Daryl Brooks that you saw?
Yes.
And while the prosecution had presented clear evidence tying Brooks to the crime, Brooks presented 2 other and obviously far-fetched sides of the story. His first claim being that there was a mechanical error with the car, one that had prevented him from stopping.
You made mention to
some mechanical problems. You believe that there may have been some mechanical problems. How were you able to come to that determination?
That was my initial concern because of the noise that the engine was making. It wasn't a normal engine noise. The RPMs were revving much higher than normal.
Can you explain to the jury what do you mean by that, the RPMs? How that has any bearing on the engine?
Sounds very, very high-pitched. This is very different than a normal vehicle driving down the road.
And the second claim was that he was not the one driving the vehicle, suggesting that they had the wrong guy.
Let the record reflect that I do not identify by that name, nor do I know anybody by that name.
As if his previous claims were not enough, Darrell Brooks confidently stated that because he was honking his car's horn repeatedly, it was actually the fault of the pedestrians for not moving. And yes, you heard that right, he actually blamed the victims for their own deaths.
So, you heard a horn beeping?
Yes.
Was it coming from the vehicle that you tried to stop?
I believe that it was.
Would it be also fair to say that you would only beep your horn in a motor vehicle if you were trying to alert someone to your presence?
I think that could be a fair statement.
After about 3 hours of deliberations, the 12-person jury had reached a unanimous verdict, finding him guilty of all 76 counts stemming from the attack. Fast forward to nearly a year to the day of the attack. At the sentencing hearing, and Darrell Brooks faced the victims' families and survivors of the Parade massacre.
And since that day, you have shown no remorse. You'd offered no explanation for your atrocities. It offends me that you're sitting here breathing while she is not. You are a monster. You deserve contempt and death.
How much I need her in my life. Yeah, shake your head. Shake your head. You know, because that is what you took from me. And there's nothing this court can do that would provide justice in my eyes. So all I ask is that you brought slow.
In an attempt to sway the proceedings, Brooks began arguing with the judge.
For the record, may I move to stay these proceedings until this instant matter is adjudicated by a court of competent jurisdiction, which this court has no subject matter jurisdiction.
Denied.
Under, based on what law or fact?
For the jury, please.
Based on what law or fact?
He said that he was the one who would reveal the supposed truth to the jury, but the judge seemed more concerned about keeping order in the courtroom than listening to Brooks' rant. She had warned Brooks that if he continued to talk about jury nullification, he would forfeit his right to make his closing statement.
You should be informed that you have the power to nullify any law that you don't agree with.
Objection. Move to strike the statement.
Sustained.
Objection.
I will strike from the record the last statement made by the defendant. The jury will disregard it.
Which is clearly what I've been saying. I believe that not only is it fair, but it's essential that you be privy to all knowledge, not knowledge that certain people feel that you should hear and shouldn't hear, disguised under the color of law.
Attempting to manipulate the court's emotions, Darrell played the mental health card during his final plea, claiming his life circumstances are the reason for his actions. Conveniently, he also expressed a so-called deep sorrow for the victims and their families right before his sentencing.
I want you to know that not only am I sorry for what happened, I'm sorry that you could not see what's truly in my heart, that you cannot see the remorse that I have, that you cannot listen to all the phone calls that I've made to my family.
But obviously, the judge and jury were not convinced.
Frankly, Mr. Brooks, no one is safe from you. This community can only be safe if you are behind bars for the rest of your life.
The court had deemed him a threat to the community, incarcerating him for life, and it was clear from the judge's behavior that she seemed to be setting a precedent so that in the future, no other individual would ever harm innocent people in such a manner. On November the 16th of 2022, Darrell Brooks received his sentencing. The judge ordered him to serve 6 consecutive life sentences, one for each victim who had lost their life with no possibility of parole. In addition, Brooks would be handed down a cumulative sentence of 762 years for the 61 charges of reckless endangerment, followed by 305 years of extended oversight. And for the 6 instances of hit and run, he would be given a 150-year sentence, which will run simultaneously with the terms for reckless endangerment. If you enjoy true crime content like this, then make sure you're subscribed to see more.